Morning all, or afternoon, evening, depending on where you're at, of course. We got 6 games on tonight, and based on last night, we could end up seeing a lot of scoring, a little bit of scoring. It's funny because, one night we'll see a ton of goals, and then we kind of go, all right, so we're back to the Wild West again, and then the next night, it's kind of a quiet night. So I was going to do an over-under, not today. If we see a bunch of goals today, maybe I'll do an over-under on tomorrow's games just for fun because there's a lot of games tomorrow, so I might as well add more work for myself, I guess. Let's start off with New Jersey and Toronto. The Devils come in at 6-6-1. They've got to get themselves together, and they're in against a Toronto team at 10-5 that is trying to even its record at home. They're 4-5 at home coming into tonight's game. Scoring wise, Palmieri leads the way for New Jersey with 10 goals, 7 assists. Hall, 3 goals, 12 assists. Heischer, 3 goals, 9 assists. Zajac, 5 goals and 5 assists. Severson with 2 goals, 6 assists. Brian Boyle, 6 goals and 1 assist. And Vatanen and Butcher both have 1 goal and 6 assists between them. Or to their names. Not between them because then that's different. Marner, 5 goals, 14 assists, leads the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's 19 points in 15 games. So a lot of points for a guy who's going to be a restricted free agent next summer. Riley, 6 goals and 12 assists. Tavares, 8 goals, 9 assists. Matthews, 10 goals and 6 assists. He's been seen skating around. Not any updates yet on when he's going to be back or how far out he is. Kapanen, 6 goals, 6 assists. Kadri with 4 goals, 5 assists. Marlowe, 3 goals and 5 assists for him. And Jake Gardner with a goal and 7 assists. Goaltenders. Kincaid is starting today. 2.58 goals against, 918 save percentage. I don't think Corey Schneider did himself any favors in their last game. He has a 4.72 goals against, 862 save percentage. And Kincaid really, if they can come out tonight and play well, Kincaid will solidify his role as the starter. Schneider would pretty much officially be the backup for a while. Anderson, 2.18 goals against, average 929 save percentage for him. He is starting tonight. Sparks is backing him up with a 3.49 goals against, 892 save percentage. Sparks is playing so little that really they should send him to the Marlies on conditioning, probably every couple of weeks, just so he gets in some game action, because he's not getting anything right now sitting on the bench. New Jersey scored 42 goals. They've allowed 43. So they've scored 3.2 goals per game. They've allowed 3.3. And their shooting is 32.1 shots for, 32.1 shots against. So really, pretty even season, even record for New Jersey. They need to get ahead of that, of course, because otherwise you don't make the playoffs. Power plays. New Jersey's power play is at 26.4%. Their penalty kill at 80.8%. And of course, while the record shows as even, over their last 10 games, they've been 3-6-1, and they lost their last game, of course, famously to the Devils. On the Toronto side of things, they've outscored their opponents 51-40, which is a ratio of 3.4 goals per game to 2.7 goals per game. They're taking 30.5 shots per game. They're allowing 30.9. And their power play's clicking at 30%. Their penalty kill at 83.7. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've won their last 2. Now, it's also curious to note that this year without Austin Matthews, they're not suffering like they did last year without Austin Matthews down the stretch. Before he came back and they went into the playoffs with him. But the fact that they are able to win games without Matthews is encouraging, because Matthews, he kind of tends to get injured, and we're really hoping that this isn't a pattern, but it's starting to look like a pattern. So again, we'll see whether it is or it isn't over the next couple of years. Next up, San Jose, coming off that overtime, it's regular loss last night. Regular, good old-fashioned, wasn't overtime. Felt like overtime because it was such a back-and-forth game. But no, they lost in regulation to Dallas. So they're 8-5-3, and they're in against the 5-5-3 St. Louis Blues, who can put themselves above the watermark, the 500 mark tonight. And you know what? They're really not that far out of the playoffs. And maybe they've fixed their goaltending issue, because their last game, kind of a big game for one of their goaltenders. Scoring-wise, however, Brent Burns, 3 goals, 17 assists. So 20 points for him in 15 games. It's pretty safe to say that Burns is playing pretty well right now. Meyer, 12 goals, 5 assists. Couture with 6 goals, 11 assists. Hurdle, 5 goals and 9 assists. Evander Kane, 5 goals, 6 assists. LeBanc, 2 goals, 9 assists. Donskoy, 3 goals, 5 assists. Pavelski has 7 goals, so he makes the lineup, the top 8 anyways, meaning that with 7 assists, Erik Karlsson falls off. Yeah, he's still got 7 points. And we're, 16 games into the season. That's right, 16, not 15, 16. So yeah, Burns is on pace for about 102 points. And let's see, Karlsson's on pace for 35, approximately. Something's wrong there. Anyways, St. Louis, Ryan O'Reilly, 7 goals, 12 assists. He had a fantastic game last night out, of course. Tarasenko, 6 goals, 7 assists. Perron, 5 goals, 6 assists. Braden Shen, 3 goals, 6 assists. Steen with 4 goals, 4 assists. Bozak, 3 goals, 5 assists. Dunn with 3 goals and 4 assists. And Zach Sanford, 3 goals and 4 assists. He's still on the board, even though he's only played 8 games. In net, there's been no confirmation of which goaltender is going to start for San Jose at the time that I'm recording this. Dell, I would imagine, will be the starter. He has a 2.71 goals against, 913 save percentage. Jones, 2.84 goals against, and 893 save percentage. He's not going to get over 900 this year, and it's weird. He's a good goaltender, but he's not making it look like he is. On the St. Louis side of things, Jake Allen, 3.99 goals against, 879 save percentage. He'll be the backup. Chad Johnson, 2.48 goals against average, 919 save percentage. Can he do it 2 nights or 2 games in a row? Because if he can, Chad Johnson could be your starter in St. Louis. Could absolutely happen, which is weird and unusual, but it could happen. San Jose scored 53 goals this year. They've allowed 48, which means they've scored 3.3 goals per game, and they've allowed 3. Shots for and against. San Jose has taken 36.7 shots per game. They've allowed 28.1. Their power play is at 20%. Their penalty kill at 86.8%. They're 6-2-2 over their last 10, and of course they lost last night. On the St. Louis side of things, they've scored 46 goals. They've allowed 48. Their goals per game, they're scoring 3.5 and they're allowing 3.7. So their offense is fine. They're scoring more goals per game than Toronto. It's that goals against that's biting them. Shots, they're taking 30.2 shots per game. They're allowing 32.8. Their power play, 30.8%. Penalty kill, 80%. Their record over the last 10 games, 4-4-2. And, of course, they won their last game on the strength of a Ryan O'Reilly hat trick. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting game because if San Jose loses this one tonight, then we could say, yeah, maybe they're going into a bit of a slump. And then for St. Louis, we can talk about how they're actually playing pretty well. And Colorado is going to be in playing Winnipeg tonight. Now, this is an interesting game because Winnipeg's, of course, coming off of that back-to-back series against Florida and Finland. And Colorado has lost 4 in a row. Colorado's been struggling big time. And they need to show that, yeah, no, we're contenders. We mean it. They're 7-5-3 right now. And Winnipeg is 8-5-1. So Winnipeg, solid record for them. Colorado's been underwhelming lately. Scoring, Rantanen leads the way, of course, with 5 goals, 19 assists. McKinnon, 11 goals, 11 assists. Landeskog, 11 goals, 7 assists. Tyson Barrie with 11 assists. Kerfoot, 2 goals, 8 assists. Soderberg, 5 goals, 3 assists. Wilson with 4 goals and 3 assists. And Girard on the board with a goal and 5 assists. On the Winnipeg side of things, Wheeler, 2 goals, 14 assists. Scheifele, 6 goals, 7 assists. Connor, 6 goals and 5 assists. Bufflin, 2 goals, 9 assists for him. Laine, 7 goals and 2 assists. Morrissey and Trouba both have a goal and 6 assists. And Lowry, 4 goals and 1 assist for him. The goaltenders have been confirmed in this one. Grubauer will be backing up. Grubauer is a 3.56 goals against and an 893 save percentage. And Varlamov will be starting. His 2.21 goals against, his 934 save percentage. Excellent. Everything on Colorado looks excellent except their recent win-loss record. And I know, Colorado's going to say, well, we had 2 goals called back on his last game. Yeah, that's one of those things that happens to a team when they're in a slump. You don't get those calls. And it sucks, and I'm not saying that it's fair or it's right. It's one of those things that happens. Every call seems to go against you when you're in a slump. Ask Oiler fans last year about goals being called off. It was quite the run that they had of that. And then they every time they challenged it, it turned out, nope, those are good goals. On the Winnipeg side, Brossois will be back up tonight. 1.67 goals against, 957 save percentage. Connor Hellebuck starting. He's got a 3.01 goals against, 907 save percentage. And Hellebuck hasn't looked as impressive so far this year as he did last year, but we're still early. Goals scored and allowed by Colorado. They're still 10 positive. They've scored 53 and allowed 43. They've got 3.5 goals per game and allowed 2.9. Shots for and against. Colorado's got 30.1 shots for, 33.5 shots against. Power play, 26.4%. Penalty kill, 84.1%. Everything with Colorado looks good except their recent record. So everything else looks fine. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. They've lost their last 4. That's not fine. On the Winnipeg side of things, they've scored 41 goals and allowed 38. They've scored 2.9 goals per game, which is fourth lowest on the board, but we'll get over to those other lower ranked teams, which are way down there in the standings, for the most part anyways. But they've only allowed 2.7, which is impressive. It's a shame that they're not scoring more. They're taking 32.8 shots per game, and they're allowing 33.6 shots per game. Their power play is cranking along at 33.3%. Penalty kill at 78.4%. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They lost their last game. So Winnipeg, this is a test for them tonight, and we'll see how things turn out for them. That 6-3-1 record, though, it's decent, and when you look across the board, it is one of the more impressive records. There's another 6-3-1 here, an 8-2 here, and a 6-2-2 here. So, pretty impressive record over the last 10. They need to show that they're not falling back, though, which is a problem. Next up, Columbus, 8-6-1. So what's interesting with Columbus is that they're one win back, really. Well, half a game back if you're looking baseball terms, half a game back of Winnipeg. And yet, when you talk about which team's been more impressive, I don't think very many people would say Columbus. And yet, Columbus's record's right there. And they're in against the Capitals, who are 7-4-3. And the Capitals have not looked like the Capitals. Now, they've had their games where they've looked pretty good. And you go, yeah, all right. Okay, this is the defending Stanley Cup champions. And then the next night, you'll watch them and you go, nope. And I really think it's a Stanley Cup hangover. I think that's a thing. And I think that's part of what's going on in Washington. Now, words come out that John Carlson's day-to-day. I'm sure everything will be fine on the blue line for Washington with that. It'll be interesting to see what happens for them tonight. And yeah, so Columbus comes in with an 8-6-1 record. Panarin leads them in scoring with 5 goals, 11 assists. Atkinson, 6 goals, 5 assists. Dubois with 6 goals, 4 assists. Werenski, 3 goals, 7 assists. Duclair, 6 goals, 3 assists. Anderson, 7 goals and 2 assists. Foligno, 5 goals, 4 assists. And Nudavara with 2 goals, 6 assists. He's having a solid season so far for the Columbus Blue Jackets. On the Washington side, Kuznetsov, 6 goals, 13 assists. Ovechkin, 12 goals, 6 assists. He's still scoring almost a goal a game, but it's fine. Carlson, 5 goals, 13 assists. Backstrom, 3 goals, 14 assists. Oshie, 8 goals and 5 assists. Connolly, 2 goals, 7 assists. Eller with 3 goals, 5 assists. And Jacob Vrana with 4 goals and 3 assists. And somebody said yesterday, oh, it's pronounced Jacob. Okay, well, I guess he changed it because it would have been Jakob when he came over. Goaltenders have not been confirmed in this game at the time that I'm recording this. Bobrovsky, 3.09 goals against, 902 save percentage, will probably be the starter. Korpisalo backing up with a 3.8 goals against and an 884 save percentage. Holtby's likely the starter with his 3.37 goals against, 898 save percentage. Copley, the backup, 3.14 goals against, 898 save percentage for him as well. So the save percentages of the goaltenders are starting to come up. That's good news for Washington. Now they just have to get more wins than what they've been getting. They've won their last 2 though, which is good. Columbus has scored 50 goals. They've allowed 52. Their goals for per game, 3.3. They're allowing 3.5. Shots for, 32.8 shots for per game, 32 shots per game against. The power play, 11.9%. Not good enough. Penalty kill, 75.5%. You add them up, you get 87.4, which is a stinky number. You want to be above 100 if you add penalty kill and power play together. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10, and they won their last game. They've just been okay. And I don't know which Columbus team is going to show up tonight. The one that's looked great some nights or the one that's looked awful other nights. Washington, 51-49 is the score for them. They've scored 51, allowed 49. They've got 3.6 goals per game. They've allowed 3.5. Both teams are allowing too many goals. This may be a very high-scoring game. And there's going to be some animosity due to their power play, their playoff matchup last year. I think there's going to be some really strong checking out there, and just these teams don't really like each other a whole lot. 29.9 shots per game by Washington. They're allowing 33.2. So when we look at shots for and against, it's not usually a huge difference, but when you look at them allowing about 3.5 more shots per game than they're getting, and now Carlson's going to be out tonight, it could be a bit of a tough slog for them. Power play, that's not a tough thing for them, 34%. Now, without Carlson, that may change completely, of course. Their penalty kill, 74.5%, is actually lower than Columbus's. But the fact that their power play is almost 25% ahead of Columbus's means that they still have a better special teams record. And Washington's 5-3-2 in their last 10, and they won their last 2 games. So for Washington, tonight's kind of a test, as it is for Columbus as well. Like I said, I expect this game to be kind of chippy, probably a lot of goals, probably some guys not liking each other very much, probably Devontae Smith-Pelly not making a lot of friends out there, and we'll probably see some fisticuffs here and there, just because division rivalry, playoff rivalry, and a game that's really important for both teams, even this early in the season. Because if Washington falls against Columbus, that puts them, let's see, Columbus has 17 points, Washington has 17 points, but Columbus has more wins. So again, it's never too early to start talking about who's where in the standings, because American Thanksgiving coming up, and that is a thing. That matters. We talked about it last year, and everybody said it doesn't matter, and then it did. Next up, Rangers, 7-7-1. They're in against the Detroit Red Wings, who are 5-8-2. This is the battle of the two teams that are fighting for respect. Now, Detroit, admittedly, has been much better lately than what they were. It is really tough to dig your way out of a hole. The hole they dug themselves early in the season, and they're doing their best to get there. There is a superstar that's been emerging, and it's a guy that I had pegged a year and a half ago that I thought was better than what his numbers showed, and now he's starting to bear that out. But on the Rangers side of things, Zibanejad leads the way with 6 goals, 7 assists. Kreider breaks up the Zeds with his 7 goals and 4 assists. And Zuccarello, there's the other Zed, 3 goals, 7 assists for him. So much for the Zeds have it for the Rangers. Damn it, Kreider. Howden, 3 goals, 6 assists. Hayden, 3 goals, 5 assists. Pionk, 2 goals, 6 assists. VC with 5 goals and 2 assists. I've said before, VC's having a good season this year. Shea, 1 goal and 6 assists for him. On the Detroit side, there's that superstar I was talking about, Dylan Larkin, 6 goals, 9 assists. Larkin is capable of a point a game and more. I don't know how all around he is. I don't know that he's necessarily going to make people forget about some of the stars of yesteryear in Detroit, but the kid's a legit star himself. Nyquist, 2 goals, 11 assists. He has played much better after a slow start, too. Bertuzzi, 5 goals, 3 assists. Cholowski, 2 goals, 6 assists. Athanasiou, 4 goals, 2 assists. Nielsen, 6 assists. Glendening, 1 goal, 5 assists. And Anthony Mantha makes the chart with 3 goals and 2 assists. Goaltenders. Lundqvist has been confirmed. 2.64 goals against average, 922 save percentage. He's been excellent this year. Really, really excellent. Georgiev, 3.60 goals against, 897 save percentage. On the Detroit side, they haven't confirmed, but Howard is likely. Howard has a 2.93 goals against, 917 save percentage. And Bernier will back him up with a 4.2 goals against and an 873 save percentage. Bernier's got to be dying to get those numbers down. Those are some gaudy numbers there, and he's going to want to fix that before too long. When you look at scoring, well, the Rangers have allowed 47 goals, and they've got 40. So they're scoring 2.7 goals per game. They're allowing 3.1. They're taking 30.4 shots per game. They're allowing 34.8. So those numbers need to improve. Power play, 16.3%. Penalty kill, 77.4%. But they're 6-3-1 in their last 10, and they've won their last 4 in a row. So, despite the fact that there's shootouts in there, they're wins. They're still counting the standings as 2 points. On the Detroit side of things, they've scored 39 goals. They've allowed 54. They're scoring 2.6 goals per game. They're allowing 3.6. I don't have to tell people that's not good enough, but they are improving. 28.1 shots per game. They're allowing 35.1. Their power play, 26.1%, and their penalty kill, 82.1%. So in terms of their special teams, they're playing just fine. Their special teams are playing really well. It's 5-on-5 play that's hurting them, or they're not getting enough power play opportunities, one or the other. They're 5-5 in their last 10, and they won their last game. So now Detroit seems to be settling into a 500 type pattern. As I said yesterday with the Kings, once you're below 500 in the NHL, you can't settle into a 500 pattern from there because it means you're really not going to make the playoffs. But I remember last year, too, with Detroit, they were a strange team to report on because they were always win one, lose one, win one, lose one. They were around 500, and then after the deadline, they fell off a cliff. But they were always around 500, and then suddenly they weren't. So we'll see if Detroit can get closer to 500. And for the Rangers, if they win tonight, they're above 500. And the good news for the Rangers is they're in the Metro. And there's a lot of teams struggling in the Metro right now. So this is really their chance to make hay and make a big move here. Next up, and finally, last but not least, Minnesota, 9-4-2, in against the 7-7-3 Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim's been kind of a sad story this year. Minnesota is an underdog success story. The Wild have been fantastic. Parise leads their scorers with 6 goals, 9 assists. Granlund, 7 goals, 7 assists. Suter, 3 goals, 10 assists. Stahl with 5 goals, 6 assists. Koivu, 2 goals and 9 assists. Zucker with 4 goals, 5 assists. Dumba, 5 goals and 3 assists. And Spurgeon with 3 goals and 5 assists. And Parise has looked the best so far this year that he's looked in quite a while. He's looked pretty fantastic. On the Anaheim side of things, Raquel, 3 goals, 9 assists. They want more goals out of Raquel, let's be honest. Getzlaff, 3 goals and 8 assists. Silverberg, 5 goals and 5 assists. Fowler, 3 goals and 7 assists. Henrique, 4 goals, 4 assists. Lindholm, 2 goals, 6 assists. Comtois, they miss him, 2 goals, 5 assists. Auberg with 4 goals and an assist. And also noteworthy is that Patrick Eaves has been back for 4 games so far. He doesn't have a point yet. Totally understandable. He hasn't played in a long time. But if he can start chipping in some goals and making some big plays, that would go very far to helping Anaheim get better quickly. And, of course, there's injury concerns with Anaheim, too. So in goal, there hasn't been a confirmation of who's starting yet. Stalock, 3.30 goals against, 895 save percentage. I would think since it's back-to-back, since it's a back-to-back and Dubnyk played last night, I would think Stalock starts tonight. Dubnyk, 2.15 goals against it, 932 save percentage. He was excellent last night. On the Anaheim side of things, 2.33 goals against for Ryan Miller, 936 save percentage. I would expect Gibson to start. He has a 2.41 goals against, 933 save percentage. So in goal, I would give the advantage to Anaheim, but honestly, there are other underlying numbers that are more concerning. Minnesota has scored 46 goals. They've allowed 40, which means they've scored 3.1 goals per game. They've allowed 2.7. They're taking 31.0 shots per game. They're allowing 32.3. So they're actually getting outshot, and they're still winning. 20.4% on the power play, 86% on the penalty kill, which is insane. And they're 8-2 in their last 10. They won their last game. And when you've got a penalty kill of 86%, and you've got a goaltender who's saving like at a 932 pace, you're probably going to be pretty good. On the Anaheim side of things, they've allowed 46 goals and scored 40. So they're the mirror image of where Minnesota is. They've scored 2.4 goals per game. They've allowed 2.7 as well. So goals against is the same. They're scoring 0.7 goals less per game. They're taking 25.5 shots per game and allowing 36.5. So they're shooting 5.5 shots less per game than Minnesota, and they're allowing 4 more shots per game than Minnesota. And this is a problem that Anaheim's been having this year. Too many shots against, not enough shots for. Their power play's at 14.6%. Their penalty kills at 78.9%. And over their last 10, Anaheim, 2-6-2. They won their last game. I'm telling you, Anaheim, they've got to get this together, and they've got to go on a bit of a run here because they're flirting with disaster. And while Minnesota's been playing well, it's a back-to-back game. You've got to beat Minnesota on the second half of a back-to-back. You kind of have to. But we'll see, because Minnesota's had some have-to-win games this year that they've lost. So we'll see what they do tonight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through just having upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.